right. Well, welcome back to the Depth Perception Podcast. Glad everybody's listening. Heary, as
Very
they usually said.
Hear you.
So we got the original Fantastic Four again. So coming at you with a topic about failure. I know we're all upbeat and positive here, but sometimes we got to talk about the moments that gave us lows to get us here. So failure is a topic. Anything come to anybody's mind when I say failure?
Optometry school.
Okay, go for it.
No,
You're
I
still in
just-
it, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think of first year specifically because I feel like in high school and college, I was that girl that was like straight A's all the time, and then optometry school comes and like you don't pass every exam at all. F's, C's. I do remember we talked about this at Academy one time. We made that one reel about it.
Yes, absolutely. You were. Go
Oh
ahead and
yeah, I
recap
recorded
just in case
that.
everybody didn't see it.
I was the camera
Yeah.
guy.
We
So
are very
it-
proud of your camera skills. That was great, but
They-
no failure
really
there.
good.
But go ahead, Svet.
No, I remember that reel, like, I think we wrote an F minus on a piece of paper, and then I pretended to cry, and then what did you do? You give me the combo?
I think
tap on
he
the
did the
shoulder
he
and
did the shoulder tap and the eye. Wow,
She didn't
he
know what
had
was
the combo
happening at
back
the
then.
time. She didn't know. She didn't know.
No.
Yeah.
Introduction to the combo.
Wait, why'd you bring your test exam to the conference?
Oh,
It was
Oh.
a piece of paper.
Oh, it wasn't your grade, your actual one?
shots fired.
No,
F
it
minus.
wasn't.
Hey, they
Anyways.
do F minuses at Berkeley. That's what I heard.
We won't gossip. We won't gossip. But that was for the dating pod
Right.
anyway. So what did you learn? What have you learned about failure in optometry school?
I learned that you have to be resilient. No matter what kind of messages you get, no matter the grades you get, no matter like you're stuck in optometry school. Okay, how do I want to phrase this? You're paying a lot to be in school. This is something you want to do. You got to keep going. Like unless optometry, the one exception, optometry is not for you. You don't want to continue it anymore. You realize that. Good. Go for a different career. Totally understand. That happens. But if you're in school and you do want this, you do want to be an optometrist, you can't put your whole mind on this one grade. Because that one grade can drag you down for like a month where you're not going to study well. You're just going to sit in pity. You're going to be sad, crying, whatever. Like you can't put your whole worth in one grade. So yeah, failure. You got to keep going. You got to get up and study for the next exam. You got to get over it and keep going.
Can I tell you a little secret?
Okay.
Nadia, I think you might know the secret. Do you want to tell her or should I tell her?
No, you go ahead. I'm still trying to decide which Fantastic Four character I am. So
I'll let you keep thinking about that. The secret the secret is the failure continues even after school. So like we're never gonna be
I thought
perfect,
you were
right?
gonna
Like that'd be mean. I wouldn't do that. I've even asked my boss for a raise and I didn't get that raise. So in theory you could say that's a failure, right? I've sent patients to the surgeon over precautiously and you could argue that was a failure in theory, right? A whole bunch of examples, but the ability to learn from your mistakes never stops inside of school or outside of school. I think it's just bouncing back from them, learning from them, not beating yourself up. Everybody's gonna make mistakes, right? I think that's what makes us who we are. So, but I think school's a great way to start. You see those failures maybe more consistently, like you're getting graded literally every week, or you have a test every other quarter, whatever it may be. But I think that's a good concept to apply elsewhere. So, Nadia, any other sorts of failures for you that come to mind, whether it be outside of school, personal life, whatever it may be, and how you kind of handle it? Any thoughts on any of it?
wow, so many. I mean, like my whole life has been a lot of lows before it was a lot of highs. It's been a roller coaster, right? Like in undergrad, I didn't do well because I wasn't applying myself, and at that point, my advisor told me that I was never going to be a doctor, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. And so, did that stop me? No. So, I did my best, and I went to grad school, and I I finished it in a 2-year program, and then I applied and I was waitlisted, and I kept getting waitlisted, and it just felt like, man, I'm failing at this too. And it was a very depressing time, but then I persevered, and then I went to optometry school. And you sometimes fail in things like that too, and then you just have to pick yourself back up and do your thing, and then you just push through and you become the person that you are. I mean, diamonds are made with pressure, guys, right? It's a
Apply
good one.
pressure, my friends. Yo,
Yeah,
side
apply
note,
pressure.
I just be wondering about these counselors and advisors who tell kids like you're not gonna make it, you're not gonna be whatever you want to be. Like, there's too many stories of that. Who are these people? Who hired them and why? Side tangent over.
I
Like,
to
I don't
add
get
to
it.
the tangent, I think they are people who are unhappy with their lives. Because if you're really
Is it
trying to bring
reverse
down a kid,
psychology? Or
no,
they
but
really
like,
believe that?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what the statistic is to kind of what's better, positive reinforcement or like being negative. But I think Nadia
I'm
shouldn't have
not
that
sure.
experience. So
Right. You should never go through that to have a person who's supposed to help you tell you, yeah, based on your grades now, you're never going to make it. Like, you're not going to be a doctor. That's like, who says that? That's so crazy to me.
that's why I say it's somebody that's unhappy with their life.
Mm.
Yeah.
But to Nadia's point, what I heard there from Nadia was being stubborn, but in a good way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
have you noticed that about yourself? Is that like an attribute you apply to other situations? Is that kind of how you feel the situation was what got you through being stubborn? I'm gonna be successful.
Yeah, I mean, being stubborn's not easy. You have your good days and your bad days. Like, some days I wanted to crawl into a ball and just cry my eyes out, and that's okay. I mean, that's okay. You can feel that way. I think feeling like a failure isn't a bad attribute. I think that it builds you up. I think that sometimes we need to
Mm.
fail to become better. I think that maybe if I was good at everything, I wouldn't appreciate everything that I had now because I worked so hard to get it. I gave up a lot of my 20s to be a doctor. And so now that I'm in the real world, I'm like, hey, I had to trip and fail so many times to get here. And all the sacrifices that I made have made it like more worth it, even though I used to tell myself like, oh, I'm not going to remember this all-nighter that I pulled, but I do. I remember them. I remember all the tears. I remember all the hardships, and I remember everything everyone said to me and when they didn't believe in me. And I think that just pushes you to be better because you have something to prove, not only to other people but to yourself. And I think that at the end of the day, you can't think of failure as like a failure per se, because I remember I wrote in my statement for optometry school, and this is something, I mean, feel free to use. They asked Thomas Edison like how many times, like how it felt to like not be able to make the light bulb like 100 times. Like, he failed at making the light bulb like 100 times, and he said, well, I didn't fail, I just learned 100 ways how not to make a light bulb until I was successful. So every time you do something wrong and every time you fail in a way, you just become like better.
So I like what you said there, Nadia. You need to feel the pain. The pain is important to feel because it's a signal from your body that something needs to change. If you stub your toe on the door, you feel that because, hey, you shouldn't be stubbing your toe on the door. So your emotions are a great thing to feel. If you fail from a test, you fail from not getting a raise, you should feel that pain. However, I think what you're saying there with the Thomas Edison example is you shouldn't feel pain from making a mistake from trying something, right? That's kind of what I'm understanding. You should feel pain if you didn't try it, maybe.
Well, you're learning from your mistakes, right? Like, every time I didn't pass a test, I was like, hey, this isn't clearly not how I should be studying. I need to change some things. Like, should I be using note cards? And then I'd try that. And if it wasn't working, then I'd be like, maybe I just need to write everything out a few times. And plus, like, different classes need different kinds of study techniques. And sometimes you'll use one and it won't work. And then you just use another one. And you just kind of learn how to do life basically in anything. Treatment plans, like sometimes I remember I would like overstill someone in contact lenses, and then I learned, hey, I'd rather give them a quarter less and they'll see better and they won't come back. And these are the failures that you learn from, right? Especially in like practice, not just in school, but like hey, maybe I should give prednisone instead of just Maxitrol. So these are the experiences that you have, and if you like stumble or fail, then you just learn from that and you grow from that and then you move on.
So that's definitely great and great examples. I feel like it's easier said, right, when we're on the outside when we have the situation. Is there any situations? What do you tell yourself? What do you do when you're in the moment of feeling the pain?
Cry.
Okay,
I
cry.
agree.
I
You have
will
to
write that
cry
down.
and let it
Please write it down. I just want to cry. I just want to take a nap and pretend like for 5 seconds that it's not happening, right? Just do
Cry,
something else.
nap,
Nap,
Mhm.
chocolate.
cry. Yeah, top three.
That's offensive.
Oh
You
shit.
chocolate for
Oh,
everything.
okay, okay.
Some of
Sorry,
us are
listen.
lactose intolerant.
No,
Just
he
trying to
said
understand here.
no. It's because we said cry, and then we said take a nap, and he's like, "Oh, you're a woman. You need chocolate now."
Oh no.
That's how I
Oh
took it.
Down with the
my
I should cut this
goodness.
patriarchy.
shit out. I was pretty fucked up on that part.
Oh.
Yeah.
Leave it in so everyone knows who you
Calling you
are,
out on your
Leave
shit.
it in.
I think we should. So I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in jokes, and I feel like there are gender roles. And so I made a comment here. I do not. I am not sexist, but I did make that comment. I'm glad we picked up on it. But we'll continue with this pod.
we should just leave it in. I think
This is gonna be our
That
clip.
was
this is an
I-
unhinged pod. It's fine.
it
Let's
is.
talk,
Okay.
okay, let's redirect.
I
I want
failed,
to talk about no,
and I learned.
it's fine. I'm in charge. I'm in charge now. You've been canceled.
Oh,
Let's
cancel
kick him
culture
out of
does
Riverside.
exist.
We're gonna
Still
do a
here.
You're in
podcast.
podcast jail. Okay.
Podcast jail.
Podcast Show Bar 2.
Kick him out. Kick him out, Doug.
Dude,
There's
that
no
was the
waiting room
Zoom. I
in
don't know if I have that
Riverside.
ability
Sorry.
here. Yeah.
Pretend. He's kind of paused anyway. I want to talk
I can
about
mute him.
failing at something that's near and dear to our hearts.
Did you kick him out?
Whoa, what happened? Y'all kicked him out for real?
No.
Oh.
You're the host.
I don't have that ability. Yo,
I'll
y'all
do
made
that.
this man leave?
I think he put himself into podcast jail.
Y'all did not make this man leave. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I want to talk about something near and dear to our
We're gonna
hearts.
keep going?
Yes. I want to schedule.
Oh wow. Okay.
Let's talk about boards. My
I
Your
kids
did
are
favorite.
pay for it.
great.
That was
I
the paying for it.
$13.80 on it. So
Nice.
what?
The
Tell
new
me about it.
prices.
I did not pass TMOD for part 2, so I know a little bit about that. It was very upsetting, and I was disappointed because I just wanted to get it out of the way. But I wasn't prepared enough to take it, I think. I think that I thought it was going to be easier than it was, and it wasn't my strong suit. Like, just treatment and management at that time. I had just been in private practice. I hadn't seen a lot of disease, and I just wasn't ready to go into it, into the exam, and I wasn't doing all the right things. And then I retook it after I had my VA under my belt, and I had the IHS under my belt, and then when I retook it, I got like a 90% or something. So
Wow.
not saying that your failures define you, right? Because there's different stages in life, and I think at different stages you are a different person and you know different things, and that's what I'm saying about growth, right? It's not that I was doing anything differently, it's just that I had different experiences between the 2 exams. And I think that especially now, boards has gotten to a level where a lot of people are not doing as well as they have been maybe in the past, and who knows what it's about. Maybe it's the pandemic, maybe it's just the way that we're studying, maybe it's the exam being harder and all these things. And I sympathize with those people because I get it, and it's hard, and I think I'd mentioned this in the past, but the pass rates have been pretty low for the most part. So how do we all feel about that? Like, Svet, what do you, like, God forbid, or, it happens. Like, what are you going to do if, part 1 comes around and it's not the score that you want?
Well, I want to go first because since
Okay.
I'm that person. I'm a pandemic baby when it comes to graduating within the essence of or vicinity of it. Yeah, I just graduated, as you guys know, in June. And I'm one of the people who still haven't got those P's yet. I'm still waiting to finish out. And, unfortunately I took part 1 once. I took part 2 twice, and I didn't pass. So
So how are you feeling, like, right now in the moment?
Well, first, I just want to read a lyric from one of my favorite artists. It goes like this. Last night took an L, but tonight I bounce back. Wake up every morning. By the morning, I count stacks. Okay, not that second part, but the first part. Right. This is by Big Sean, if you guys don't know. And yeah, it's about the bounce back, really. You know, at this time, I actually think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's better, but it's different because you don't have the, you know, clinic every day, or uh trying to balance clinic and studying and all of that. Like, it's really hard to study for part two while in fourth year, when, you know, you're there all day and then you just have to keep mustering up strength, eat dinner, and then just keep studying for the rest of the night. You don't have part one where you're studying for the other classes, and it's hard to study as well when you have those crazy other exams in third year. So right now, I think, how do I feel? I think I'm in a good place. Like, yeah, for sure. At first, it was like disheartening seeing like the L, seeing the F or whatever, you know. Uh, but it's
How do you
about the
push
bounce back.
through, like push through that disappointment? Like what motivates you to like get yourself back up and be like, you know what, I gotta do it again?
For me, it's like I never failed a class or had to retake anything in school, in optometry school. So it's like, dang, this happened now, but it's okay. Like, these things happen. And not being worried about everyone else, but just trying to take care of what I have to take care of. But it's also been good for me because I have a support system. Apparently, statistically, there's about 33% of students who graduated and didn't pass. Like, so a lot of people are in the same boat that I'm in. So I guess, you know, not trying to pay attention to other people, but knowing that it's like I'm not alone, and it's a thing that's happening nationwide. It's not my school only. It's not my friends only, but it's a lot of people who are in the same predicament. Um, but about the bounce back, just going harder in the studies. I mean, you know, you technically really know when you're ready, or if you're like close to being ready, based on doing practice tests, based on like how much content you've gone through in the study review materials. So for me, I know like part one, I didn't even finish the non-big eight stuff. And then I get to the test and I'm like, yo, there were so many non-big eight things. What was I doing? The non-big eight is still big eight. Like, don't play yourself. It's not they're all big. Everything's big. Everything's on it. Study everything. That would be my advice. So the bounce back is key, and I'm in that right now.
Yeah, I think you make some good points. It's like it's nice not feeling alone, but even if you do feel alone, like you just have to kind of do your thing and just focus on you. Everyone's on a different timeline, and just because you're not doing well in one aspect, like just like you said, like you passed all your classes. Maybe some people in your class didn't pass the classes but still passed the
Mm-hmm.
boards. You don't know. Like everyone has
Mm-hmm.
these strengths, right? So we can't compare ourselves to other people. And I think that's the mental aspect of failure in general. Like we just can't get caught up in the fact that, you know, we may have not done our best that day, and just mentally thinking like, hey, I am enough, hey, I do know enough. For me, when I took boards, the way that I knew that I was ready was like, I was just sick of it. I was like, you know what, at this point I don't even care. Like, I'm gonna take it and see how it goes, because I've done as much as I can. And at the end of the day, what I've done and how I feel about this, you know, is like I tried my hardest. And I think that's the most important thing to like know, right? Like you did your best, and that's good enough at the end of the day. And sometimes if you, like I said, you have to learn from what you did wrong, right? Maybe you didn't finish the big eight, non-big eight. Now you know, right? Thomas Edison said, now you learned from that mistake,
Thomas
and
Edison's
how
so
you,
popular today.
Thomas, he's so smart, you know? And so he like says, you know, you got to learn from these downs, and that way you can like raise yourself back up. And I think that you will be successful because now you have these tools. Now you know what to do. Now you know what you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that self-reflection is very important in a way. And
Yeah.
Svet, like we kind of said, right? Like let's say you go hard. Well, JD, welcome back. You know, you go hard and And you just don't see the P at the end of the day. Like, what is your mindset going to be?
Yeah, it's a really good question. First, JD, glad you're out of jail.
Yeah, I had to go cry, grab some chocolate, and take a nap. So I'm back.
We support you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I just paid for part 1 yesterday. Actually, today set up the date for part 1. So I'm taking part 1 March 18th, 8 a.m. in Oakland. Don't stalk me. Don't be there.
Yeah, where's the location?
Yeah, never mind. Not in Oakland, in Southern California.
That's closer. That's fine.
Be there.
And
Hey, we got hurricanes and
Yeah,
earthquakes.
I'm about to book.
Just saying.
I'm about to book there too.
Anyways, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So, and I think there's a big aspect of your support system, because the first thing I said was, I paid this much money. There's no way that I can fail this. Like that's the first thought that happened. But the support system that I have near me was like, no, like it's okay if you fail. Like it's not a money thing. Like if you fail, we're gonna be here. We're gonna support you, and you have to pay again. Like money comes and goes. It's gonna be fine. And I think it was my support system that helped me think like that, because my head on my own would have just been like, no, we just got to do this once, one and done. And I still want to do one and done, but it's nice to know that I have the support system that has adjusted my mentality, or at least like put in my mentality that it's okay if I do fail, end up failing something. It's not a money thing. It's more like it's a me personal thing to continue and have a resilience later on. And knowing that the people that care about me are still going to be there, not judge me if that were to happen.
JD, the topic is boards and like passing. So did you pass all of the parts, or are you normal?
I had to think about that question. I was fortunate to do my best on every part, and but coming up to that, I guess I was the guy who was always failing tests, and so I was so worried about that I gave everything I had, and was freaked out about it, and so fortunate about there. I have an alternate
Yeah,
concept
sounds
about
like
failure aside from boards. So if anybody wants to throw a boards comment real quick, since we have a couple minutes before we wrap up.
Yeah.
I guess.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Doug.
go ahead.
I mean, go ahead, JD.
All right. My concept is I kind of like the failure. Like I like, if you're rejected, like I'm starting to do rock climbing, right? So if I don't get the bouldering the first time I do it, I fall. Like I like it. I want it more. I get rejected by a girl. I want to talk to her more. Like I sometimes like something because I feel like I earned it more when it didn't happen the first time. I don't know if that's a concept that anybody can relate to. Like it makes me appreciate something more because it just didn't happen. It wasn't easy.
I don't know if you were around, but I said that earlier in the pod.
Oh.
Didn't I say
it was when
like
you were
I
in
was not around.
jail? But
yeah,
I'm
I don't
glad.
think you were. I just think that maybe you weren't taking notes because you were just worried about if I was eating chocolate or not. But it's fine.
Yeah. No. Remember, he was eating chocolate and napping.
Yeah, no, earlier I said, I gave up all this stuff and it makes me appreciate it more because I had to work hard to get it. Are we remembering?
I will write that down now.
So yes, I can relate, for sure. And I get it. Like, I think that if you like work hard for something, it's sweeter in the end, right? Because you feel like, man, that just didn't get handed to me. I really had to go.
Yes. Agreed. So if we have to give a wrap up here for failure, it's important to be resilient, especially when you're in school, and it doesn't just end in school. It's important from learning from your mistakes because these failures can actually teach you a lot, which can help you from failing in the future. It's important to be stubborn like Nadia and not give up and not say no to not being successful. You need to feel the failure. Maybe it can be a good thing that can teach you a lesson. Maybe it's something that you just don't even bother yourself for. Additionally, you aren't alone, and make sure you have a good support system, as V was kind of highlighting for her with applying for boards. And you know what Nadia was saying before, appreciate the fact that when you beat this failure, it's going to be crucial,
I did say that.
because it can feel sweeter, just like I was saying, when I'm on my
Right,
rock,
but I said it
climbing
first,
those rocks.
JD,
So
so I just want to put that out there.
yes, you said it first. You said it first. I wrapped it up for you, but
Thank
you're
you.
right.
And
You said it first. We'll give you credit.
I want to
Okay,
add in that wrap up, just remember that it's okay if you take an L. Just know that you can bounce back.
I have to say
Bounce
that, like, when I would post my failures, people would reach out more than my successes, because I think people can relate to the fact that we're not all perfect. I'm not perfect for sure. There's things that I'm not good at, that I am just, at the end of the day, I felt obligated to, like, kind of be like, hey guys, I didn't pass TMOD, or I didn't do well in this class, or I had this hiccup, because I felt like I was helping somebody who also was going through that. And I had more messages when I, like, didn't do well, because they were like, hey, I'm in the same boat, like, what are you doing now? And that way it lets you find your community. And I think just being honest about things and not being ashamed of being failing or doing bad. Everyone, like I said, has their strengths. Maybe you can learn from somebody by saying, like, hey, I didn't do well in this class, can you help me? Like, so I was saying in the confidence pod, like, when she couldn't do her contact lens thing, she, like, reached out, and that made her a better person, and it helped her succeed later, right? So yeah, I agree with the wrap
I
up.
just love what you said, Nadi, because I feel like honesty is key. It's hard, there's a lot of shame that comes with failure, especially, for myself being cultural and being Nigerian. Your parents want to see you, and your family want to, like, they just expect you to just do well and get the easy A and get that pass immediately. But, not just, it's okay to fail, and you don't have to beat yourself up about it, even if your family is upset, or, if if you feel like you don't have that support, you still just have to remember, like, it's okay. And you might be thinking right now, like, your timeline is this and that, but this just makes you better, it makes you stronger, and
Yeah.
you just got to come back from it.
Comparison is the thief of happiness, right? Like, comparing yourself to others is just, you can't do that. Like, I'm not Svet, I'm not Doug, I'm not JD, for sure. And so at the end of the day, like, I'm Nadia, and I am the person I am today. I am Nadia.
I am Dr.
I
Nadia.
am Dr. Nadia, EYE.
I
And
am.
so
I am Groot.
at the end of the day, all the experience that I've had have made me, like, who I am, the compassionate person I am, and able to give the advice, and able to be like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. At the end of the day, I can support Doug and be like, hey, this is what I did, and this is how I studied. And I can support Svet and be like, hey, this is how clinic's going, this is how I did a clinic. We're all learning for each other. And I think just being silent and, like, holding in the failures, I think mentally has a toll on you. And so being honest about it, and being able to talk about it, and being able to be like, hey, I didn't do my best, is, like, really important as well, just, like, mentally.
I think I feel motivated by our conversation and our talk on failure. And I think it'd be cool for this episode, if you feel like you have a motivating failure story, you should DM it to us, and then we can share it on our story, share it with our listeners
Anonymously.
Yes.
anonymously.
No
Yes.
gossip, please, but just stories.
Yeah, just
Motivation.
Motivation.
Yeah, tell
We'd
us a
love to
time
hear
that
it,
you drank
guys.
chocolate to make yourself feel better.
And you took a nap.
At the Depth Perception
You'll-
Pod, hit us up, follow us, like and subscribe. It's been a great episode, guys.
Thanks, perceptionists. See you then.
Bye-bye.